morning. Man, this is a full room. I don't know if it was the bagels or the coffee that got y'all here or the Lord, but man, I'm glad y'all are here. How are the bagels? Are there any left? Dude, I watched somebody walk by with 3 whole bagels on their plate. I was like, dude, carb up, dog. Yeah, I wasn't going to call you out. I appreciate you being honest, confessing here in front of everybody, but no, I'm so glad y'all are here, and I'm excited to be with you. My name's Jon Ross. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, I'm the BCM director on campus, and I get the joy of leading out in a few different ways, few different ministries on campus. It's super fun to be with you. This is actually my second year of getting to do this message, the Sunday after y'all move in. And for y'all who want to go into public speaking, just like a word of encouragement, to get asked to speak anywhere is it's an honor. To get asked twice at the same place, man, that's an even bigger honor because it means you didn't mess up that bad the first time. So I'm just happy that I got invited back. So, but no, I love this morning, like, because I look at y'all, folks we've been praying for months now, folks that literally, as I'm walking my dog last night after the block party, like, I'm praying for you, praying for your faces. I don't know all y'all's names yet. I just know you as that guy or the girl who's got like a mean spike on the volleyball court, stuff like that. But man, it's just super cool to be with you. And as I was praying about what I wanted to share this morning, Bible's a big book, so there's a lot to talk about. But y'all gonna have to laugh at a couple of my jokes. Y'all are killing me. Like, come on, dog. But I was praying about it, and I decided I wanted to tell y'all a story. Y'all like stories? Yeah, everybody likes a story. Now, we like stories in different ways, and we like different types of stories. Some of us like books. Some of us like poems. Some of us like TV shows and movies or podcasts. Some of us, we like rom-coms. Any rom-com fans in here? Yeah. Any guys like rom-coms? Yeah. Ladies, take note. They're in touch with their emotions. That's a good quality in a man, right? But we like all kinds of stuff. Some of y'all like true crime, and you listen to it for hours before bed, which I think is like a little psychotic, but that's cool. That's who you are, and that's fine. Just don't tell me what happens, right? But we all love a good story. To be human means, in some degree, we like stories. And I think some of the best stories, or a quality of a really good story, is a story that doesn't leave you the same after you hear it. A story that affects the way you think. It affects the way you see the world around you. It affects the way you act, the things you believe, the things you want to do. Man, good stories, great stories change something within us. And I hope this morning, as we go through a story, I'm going to read the story, and then we're going to talk about it. Afterwards, I got a couple of questions for y'all that, man, I think really challenge me, and maybe they challenge you this morning, but my hope for us this morning is that after hearing this story, after hearing God's message, after hearing the magnificence of our Lord, man, we each leave here a little bit different. Y'all ready? Yeah. Excellent. All right, we're going to be at Acts chapter 3. When you get there, give me a little whoop whoop so I know you're there. Oh, wow, you're good at Bible drills. Holy cow, that's cool. You went to VBS as a kid. That's great. We got a couple of whoop whoops. It's like a chain of whoop whoops. This is wonderful. All right, Acts chapter 3. We're going to be in 1 through 10. Thank you. I was waiting on you. All right, here we go. Now Peter and John were going up to the temple for the time of prayer at 3 p.m. A man who was lame from birth was being carried there. He was placed each day at the temple gate called Beautiful so that he could beg from those entering the temple. When he saw Peter and John about to enter the temple, he asked for money. Peter, along with John, looked straight at him and said, "Look at us." So he turned to them. Expecting to get something from them, Peter said, "I don't have silver or gold, but what I do have, I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, get up and walk." Then taking him by the right hand, he raised him up, and at once his feet and ankles became strong. So he jumped up and started to walk, and he entered the temple with them, walking, leaping, and praising God. All the people saw him walking and praising God, and they recognized that he was the one who used to sit and beg at the beautiful gate of the temple. So they were filled with awe and astonishment at what had happened to him. Man, what a cool story. What a cool in of themselves 10 verses. Let's dig a little bit deeper, talk about a few details so we don't miss anything. So we got Peter and John entering into the temple, right? Jesus has ascended at this point. He's sent down the Holy Spirit. Peter has preached like one of the best sermons ever, and like 3,000 people got saved. And forgive me, I'm stuttering. I'm halfway through an energy drink. I should have brought the rest with me. But they're entering into the temple, which is a common place we see them, right? It's a common place throughout Acts. We see people go because, man, people congregate there. It's a great place to share the gospel. So they're going there at 3 p.m, which was a common time of prayer, and they walk up on this lame guy. He's sitting by the beautiful gate. And whatever you're thinking of gate, you're thinking too small, right? This gate was huge. It's not like a cattle gate or the gate at the front of a gated neighborhood for y'all bougie folks. But man, what we're talking about here is a set of 65-foot bronze doors on a 70-foot gate. This thing is ginormous. And what would happen is people would enter through these doors for prayer, and folks who were unable to work would have their friends or family bring them to this gate or the surrounding gates of the temple and set them down so that as people entered into the temple, getting ready to worship, they would hopefully give them a little bit of money, right? There's a place of congregation. There's people that kind of focus through this channel because there's limited entry points into the temple, so it's a great place to beg. And so this guy, Luke says from birth, which is important to note, this wasn't like a sprained ankle this guy's got. It wasn't a torn meniscus. It wasn't a broken shin bone or whatever. Like this guy from birth had not taken a step. And so he'd been brought here by his friends, and they placed him at the gate to beg. And as this rush of people or as this crowd of people is kind of moseying in to the temple, he looks up and he says, hey, can I have a little bit of money? He asks John and Peter for money. But then the next verse is a little weird, or the next line's a little weird. Peter and John look at him and say, look at me. Look at us. Man, I don't know. This isn't in the scriptures, but as I'm imagining this scene unfolding, you got this large group of people coming in. Peter and John, if you didn't know, before they started following Jesus, they were a couple of fishermen, so they weren't making a ton of money before Christ. For the past 3 years, they've been following Christ, who didn't have a home, who wandered and taught as he went. Man, you got to imagine these two guys probably don't look like they got that much money to spare, right? And so I almost imagine this guy, he's looking at the crowd of people, he's asking for money, and he almost is looking past Peter and John. Like, what do these guys got to give me? Let me find someone with a little bit nicer tunic. Let me find someone with new Air Jerusalems, like someone who's got like a fit, right? Like he's going to have some money to give me. And I love Peter's line. He looks at him and says, man, I ain't got gold for you. I don't have silver. But what I got, I'll give you. Get up and walk. And he reaches down and he lifts him up. He doesn't just start hobbling around, which would have been a miracle. Like, let's not deny that. Like, if this guy would have got up and hobbled 3 steps, it would have been a miracle because he had never taken a step in his life. This guy doesn't get up and then lean on Peter to walk into the temple. He doesn't need a cane. He doesn't walk with a limp. No, this man gets up, begins to walk, and then he goes from walking to leaping, to jumping, to praising the Lord in a matter of moments. And people recognize this. Like, these people live in this town with this guy. People have seen him for weeks, years, who knows how long, as the guy who begs at the gate. Look at him. He's running. Some of them probably knew his mama. That's Tina's boy. What's he doing running? He ain't been able to run since he's never been able to run. That's Bill's little brother. How's he up walking right now? I know those aren't biblical names, but allow me a little bit of freedom here, guys. Y'all are judging. I know they're not biblical names, but forgive me. I'm telling you a story, right? But they see it, and what starts happening? People start praising the Lord, and other people are getting excited. And then what happens when a small crowd forms? A bigger crowd starts to form, right? And so you got people just coming from all over the temple, like, what is going on over here? Y'all getting rowdy. Y'all worshiping. What is happening? Man, y'all probably been there, right? Crowd starts forming. Everyone wants to go to where the crowd is, right? I remember one of my first jobs when I graduated from North Greenville, I was an admissions counselor. If you don't know what that is, I'm confused how you got here. It's the person who helped you get here, right? They took your phone calls, responded to your emails, hopefully, and it's the same person who sets up tables in your cafeteria. You know who I'm talking about? That's like recruiting for a college. Y'all know the people? It's the people that when you see them, you pull up your phone and you pretend to like scroll on something, or you put your AirPods in and pretend like you can't hear us. We know you can hear us. And that wounds us, just so you know. But I was doing that, and it was lunchtime, and I talked to a couple students. I was sitting at my table, and I got my back against the wall, and then on that wall is a hallway that goes away from me. And I'm sitting there, and man, I don't know what other word to use to describe it, but from down the hall, I heard a squall. Like it was not a yell. It was animalistic in nature, right? It was a squall. And it was like watching an episode of like Meerkat Manor. Like all these heads looked up and over like a predator was coming down the hall. I was like, what is going on? Like, do y'all know something? And then I don't know if there was a voice I could not hear, but every student in this cafeteria stood up and ran to the hallway. So what did I do as an adult? I ran to the hallway. I want to see what's going on. Like, this is exciting. Like, my job usually ain't like this. And I get on the hallway. You know what I see? You want to take a guess? Loud noise in a high school? A fight. There we go. Y'all went to high school? Come on. Y'all, what? But it wasn't just any fight. It was a girl fight. Yeah, y'all make that noise because objectively, a girl fight is 3 times more violent than a man fight. Like a man fight, there might be a little blood and like a torn shirt. Girl fight, who knows what's going to be left afterwards? There's going to be hair. There's going to be like someone's face is going to hit a locker and like her makeup's going to be there with an eyelash. And you're probably going to be able to tell what girl it was. Man, no matter how many girls are in the fight, there will be no less than 5 spilt Alanis or iced coffees. They're just on the ground. It's like, what happened? It's a war scene. But these girls are fighting. And as the adult, you know what I did? Nothing. Because I love my life and I want to live. And I know a junior girl in high school could probably take me in a fight. 2 of them would murder me. Part of growing up is knowing your limits, boys. Just know your limits. So I waited for an administrator. He should risk his life. I'm just there recruiting. But anyway, I tell you that story. You've all been there, right? Like a crowd starts forming, people are gathering, and this is what happened in the temple. People don't even know why they're running, but they're gathering up. Well, I won't read the rest of the passage just for the sake of time, but what happens is this. Peter, man, we love Peter, don't we? Golly, he's always got something to say. Sometimes really good, and sometimes it's like, Peter, please. Jesus just called you Satan. Stop, right? But y'all don't know that story. I know that sounded weird, but I'll explain it some other time to you. But he gets up. He starts preaching. He's like, guys, man, this ain't me and my buddy John's doing. Y'all remember not too long ago at that crucifixion? That guy named Jesus? Yeah, this is his work. Man, our father Abraham and the prophets and all these generations before us spoke of him. He's the one who should get the glory for this. We're just here. And this would have been powerful because some of these people might have been at the crucifixion. If they hadn't been there personally, they had heard about it. They're in the same town, and it's not too long ago. And some of these folks could have been the very ones screaming, give us Barabbas. Take that Jesus away. And what Peter and John do is use this moment, use this miracle as an opportunity to take the light off of them and say, no, look at my Christ. Look at what he's done. Despite you trying to stop him to the point of death, he is alive and he's at work. Man, you want to talk about a good story? Man, we could stop right there. Y'all want to go to lunch? Well, you're not, right? That's why we provided you bagels. It's a much longer sermon than that. No. For real, though, it's a beautiful story. It's a wonderful story. But I want to ask you 3 questions. 3 questions. I'm not going to belabor the point, but 3 questions. How should we take this story and think about our own lives through it? Question number 1, where are your eyes? Where are your eyes? Not below your forehead. Please don't say that. I'm glad no one's. I did this at a youth group one time, and someone said that to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I'm not a youth pastor anymore. But, man, you got to imagine this guy. What a moment he must have had when he stood up and walked. And he almost missed it. He wasn't even looking at him. He's looking at the masses. He's looking for somebody who can give him something not for a lifetime, not for a month, but to get him through the day. You got to imagine when he stood up, it was a shock. It was, how could I be asking for less than this? Who are these guys? And why was I only asking for money? But in reality, that's what the world would have told him he really needed. Man, you can't stand in this world, this time, you can't work. The best thing you can do is get a couple buddies, drag you to the gate every day, and hopefully people give you enough money so you can make it tomorrow. And you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again until finally you die. And that'll probably be what you do with your life. Man, he was doing what the world would have told him was right, what the world told him the option was. But there's something so much greater standing in front of him, and he almost missed it. I remember I was a sophomore here in North Greenville way back in 2017, many moons ago. But I applied to work at a camp, right? And the camp's 3 hours away. It's an hour south of Columbia for y'all who know like kind of the general layout of South Carolina. And I want to impress the camp because I really wanted the job. I was like, hey, I'll drive there for an in-person interview. I like driving, and I got audio books. I'll come to you. And so I drive down there. My brother lives in Columbia. I only got to drive an hour back to him that night. I'll spend the night with him, drive back up to the upstate afterwards. I go down there, interview. I get the job. And, man, I am pumped up, dude. I start calling everyone in my contacts. I call my mom. Her name's Janice. I'm like, Janice, I got the gig. She's like, oh, baby, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, thanks, Mom. I called my brother. I was like, dude, we're celebrating tonight. It's going to be great. I got the gig. I called my girlfriend at the time. I was like, baby, I got good news. There's money coming in the bank account. We're done with McDonald's. We're back to Cookout. And we're getting milkshakes with that big double burger. You know what I'm saying? Making money bucks. Anyway, though, I'm calling everybody I know, and I'm bebopping the music going down the road. And the way it worked, I only had an hour drive. It's about 20 minutes on one interstate, 40 minutes on the other state. It's genuinely like 3 turns to my brother's house from where I was. And I'm going down interstate number 1, like the first one I'm supposed to be on, only for 20 minutes, and I'm just high on life. And I didn't really see what time I left the camp, but I remember thinking, I'm like, man, I've been on the road for a while now. I wonder where I am. Because I don't want to use Apple Maps like it's 2 turns. And I'm a grown man. I don't need my phone. Come on. And so I'm going down the road. And not long after having that thought, I see a big green sign in front of me. I'm like, wonderful. That'll probably tell me where I am. Probably tell me how far I got to go. Can't imagine it's more than 5 minutes. I'm going down the road. And this big sign, like it's a giant sign. And it's getting closer. And I notice there's a graphic on it. I'm like, that's weird. Who puts big graphics on signs on the interstate? And I noticed that on the graphic, there's a flower and a peach. I'm like, that's weird. And because I have very poor eyesight, as it goes by me, it says, welcome to Georgia. I'm like, oh no. If you don't know South Carolina, I missed my turn by an hour. I done hit another state, right? And I'm like, oh, sweet mercy. And I was like, what do you even do in a moment like this? You turn around. That's all you can do. And my brother ragged me real hard. I get back like 2 hours longer than it should have took me. This 1 hour drive became 3. And, man, I get back and it's just shameful, right? I tell you that story because I believe some of us will be running after Jesus. Like genuinely, we're trying to follow him. We're chasing after him. But something this world offers us distracts us. And not just for a moment, but to the point we totally miss what Jesus desires for us. Not by an inch, but by an hour. Man, it's a lot of stuff I might not even think about. Now, I think a lot of y'all have come here with a good desire to get a good job, right? But the world has sat and for the past 18 years told you, man, if you can go to college and you get a good degree and you get the right internships and you get the right job after college and you climb the ladder and you hit this many figures in your salary and you get this big of a house with this like 2.375 kids or whatever the average is, and you get a golden retriever because that's America's dog, right? Like if you can get all this, you'll be happy. You know how I know that's a lie? Because the richest people in the world do the same thing every time. They make a lot of money, and making it doesn't make them happy. It doesn't fulfill them. It doesn't sustain them. They spend a lot of money. Well, having it in the bank account and watching that number grow doesn't make me happy. Maybe if I buy enough stuff, buy enough trips or this or that, cars, whatever, maybe that'll make me happy, but that doesn't work. You know what they do next? They start giving it away. And they're like, maybe if I just give this stuff away, I'll be happy. And they're not, at least not for long. It leaves a hole in them. Man, some of y'all bought the lie that if you can find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, man, life's going to be perfect, even if you got to eat rice and beans for the rest of your life. I know some of y'all believe that because I watched you at volleyball last night. Listen, I saw 3 of you boys thinking about proposing. Fellas, it is a marathon, not a sprint. It is too early. You don't even know her last name. Stop it. Shameful. Anyway, but legit, like some of y'all are coming from really cool families, like just remarkable families. And you're like, man, if I can have a marriage like my parents, my life's going to be great. If I can find a person like that, my life's going to be great. Some of you coming from the exact opposite. You're coming from really tough family situations. Broken homes. Homes that may not appear broken, but you know on the inside are shattered and broken, and what happens outside of the home's a facade. Man, can I tell you, your spouse will never fulfill you in the way that you want. They will never fulfill you in a way that only God can. You'll actually be overwhelmingly disappointed if you put your spouse on the throne that is sized for Jesus. And we could go down a list, man. We can talk about sports. We can talk about hobbies. We can talk about experiences, hiking. We can do all this. If I can just check these things off, maybe I'll be happy. And a lot of them, it's not that bad, man. I want you to find a spouse. I want you to get a good job. I want you to be happy. I really do. But can I tell you, these things that the world says will fulfill you and sustain you, they're terrible saviors and they're pitiful gods. They are terrible saviors, and they are pitiful gods, and they will leave you wanting. Man, some of you, you've chased after Jesus for a while, but if you look at the road you're on, you know you've missed an exit. You've missed what he's desired for your life. You've started chasing after something that's taken you to a whole nother state. And for some of you, it's time to do a U-turn. For some of us in the room, maybe we just need to get on the road. You've actually never started following Jesus. Man, if you're curious what that's about, I'd love to talk with you afterwards, or talk to your SLT, talk to BCM staff. Man, we want to talk to you about that. Question number 2. I'm going to go fast here. I know losing you here. I'm going to go fast. Question number 2. Does your life draw people in or push them away? Man, this guy, it's amazing. That's an amazing circumstance, but it is amazing, right? That he stands up. And he's so overwhelmed. He doesn't go out into the streets. He doesn't go and try to get a job because that, like, world say you need some money now that you can walk, right? He doesn't do that. He doesn't go and tell his mom that he can walk now. No, he goes into the temple and he begins to worship. He says, this has been given to me by God. Let me go and worship God. And his worship is visible. His joy is undeniable. A life change has occurred that honestly people can't stay away from even if they don't know what's going on. Man, it drew people to him and ultimately drew people towards the Father. Drew people to Christ. So my first full-time ministry job, I was a youth pastor, right? And I did that for a little while, and then I planted a church. I was probably 6 months into church planting, and I got a phone call from the church where I was a youth pastor, and they gave me just like some of the worst news I ever got. One of my previous students had been in an accident, had passed away. And got the news, Early one morning, immediately drove to the family's house. And the dad, he was one of my youth volunteers. He's a mountain of a man, dude. He's like 6'4", 320, just huge. And he comes out just weeping, gives me a hug, and it's like those days, like class just doesn't train you for, right? Like nothing really trains you for that. And his mom's there, and we start talking. She asked if I'll speak at the funeral. Of course, yeah. So go there. A few of us speak, and because I'm speaking, I'm kind of, if you imagine the room and then the stage, and the casket's there right up against the stage, I'm on the right-hand side, and so I can see everything. And man, I don't remember everything from that day, to be honest. Like, I blocked a lot of it out. Like, it was honestly one of the just worst days. But I remember this music minister got up, and I don't remember if he called everyone to stand or not. But what I remember in that moment is I'm on the right, and I look over, and I see this kid's dad. This man who the world would say, dude, God's forsaken you. Man, if God would take your son from you, he don't love you. He's not worthy of your worship. What? Like, it's time to leave that behind. He is standing on the front row, 10 feet from his youngest child's casket, with both hands stretched towards heaven, screaming the praises of God. I mean, just with reckless abandon, man. Now, he was crying. Everyone else was crying in that place. But, dude, I just remember sitting there thinking, like, that's not normal. That's not what normally happens. That's not even what should happen in my mind, right? That is something other. And that day, a lot of his buddies from school came, and they saw his dad worshiping. And I wasn't a youth pastor there, so I don't know how the story all worked out, but I know those boys started going over to his house pretty frequently for dinner. And I know those boys started going to youth group because he was a leader there. And I know they started attending church there because he went to church there. And it wasn't because he was just so wonderful. It wasn't because they had the best donuts in town or the best coffee of any of the churches. It's because they looked at a man on the worst day of his life singing praise to God and said, I got to know what's happening there. Because that's not normal. That's not how my dad would respond. That's not how I would respond. There's something weird about that. Man, what effect does your life have on people? Man, both in the really sweet times when things are going great and you are the diamond of everyone's eye and you could imagine a life better than you got right now, and then on the absolute worst days of your life. Is worship something you do one and the other? Either to keep God in or stay in God's good graces or try to win his grace? Man, does your life draw people to the throne of heaven? Or does it push them away? If you didn't know this, Christian in Greek translates to little Christ. To call yourself a Christian means you say, I am a little Christ. What does your life say Jesus is like? Does it say he's humble? That he's a servant? That he loves? That he gives? That he forgives? Or does your life say that Jesus is bitter? That he's a gossip? That he's a liar? Question number 3, last question. Who's by your side? Who is by your side? Peter had John. Man, if you look at the life of Peter, man, he was loud, he was boisterous. He said a lot of good stuff, and then he said stuff like, Peter, please, just stop, right? We talked about this. John appears to be a little bit different than Peter. Like, he seems a little bit more steady. Like, he's called the son of thunder, so maybe he's a little angry sometimes, but like throughout Scripture, he doesn't do the stuff like Peter does. Maybe he's a little bit more quiet, a little bit more steady, definitely different than Peter. But we see him in this moment locked together, hand in hand, arm in arm, serving together. What ultimately would happen after this message, they would be arrested and they would suffer together. They'd spent years together before this, and despite the situation, whether really good or really bad, they are together. They're by one another's side. Man, do you have someone like this in your life? I met genuinely the best friends of my life here at North Greenville. Genuinely, I don't know if I'll ever make friends like this again. They're just awesome. There's this one guy, his name's John. We both spell it Jon, and I think that's why, there's something just internal that bonds us because we spell our name wrong. But I remember when I first met John. John had these, real thick glasses on. He was talking about Dungeons and Dragons, which there's no hate if you play Dungeons and Dragons, but I do not play Dungeons and Dragons. And his hair was done in a borderline faux hawk, which you may think because I'm old, that was cool then. It wasn't cool then. I actually remember thinking he reminded me of a bird. I don't know why, but when I first saw this guy, I'm like, you are bird-esque. Whatever that means, right? But me and John, man, we got talking about something other than Dungeons and Dragons. We actually started talking about hiking. We did this backpacking trip together. It was awesome. And first time I ever hitchhiked. I hitchhiked. Me and John got in a car with a stranger, and he offered us trail mix, and we both ate out of a Ziploc bag of trail mix, which is like how 3 Netflix murder documentaries begin. Do not do that. Neither hitchhike or eat stranger trail mix. It's recipe for disaster. But me and John, man, we became best friends. We started interning at the same church and working together and evangelizing together in downtown Greer. Me and my wife, we've moved 6 times since leaving North Greenville. He has been at all 6. John, he is serving overseas in a country that I'm not allowed to name right now. This, 2 weeks ago was my birthday. Ever since we've met, John has called me between 12 and 3 a.m. to wish me a happy birthday because he wants to be one of the first people to wish me a happy birthday. When my son was born, the little blonde-headed kid at the volleyball court last night, when he was born, John was one of the first people to come down. And he brought me my favorite energy drink, and he brought my wife some snacks. What better friend could you get than that? But legit, me and John, we have laughed together, and we have just bitterly wept with one another. We have had fun together, and we have served together. And I didn't know this before I got to North Greenville, but I only had buddies before I got here. I had guys who I hung out with, who I would joke with, who I'd maybe talk to if something was really bad. But I never had a friend till I came here. Now, I pray that you got friends. I pray that in your heights you have someone to laugh with, and I pray that in your lows you have someone to weep with. But man, I would encourage you, man, ask yourself, who is my John? Who is my Peter? Who is someone I can do life with? Who is someone I can dig into the Word with, evangelize with, serve with, laugh with, and cry with, and ultimately push one another to look more like Jesus? Man, if you ain't got that person, I pray you find them soon. I bet you there's a good chance there's a person in this room that could be that person for you. So, we started talking about stories, right? We all love stories. You actually just started a new chapter to your story. There's this British philosopher named Malcolm Guite, and he says to be human is to be part of a story. Without option, you are in a story right now. In one essence, your story. Your life is unfolding before you. Weeks ago, months ago, you are a humble high schooler. And it was awesome. Well, you weren't humble, you were a senior, and you probably thought a lot of yourself. You're now a humble freshman, right? In a matter of hours, this has happened to you. Man, you've met new people, you've moved, you're now eating bagels in a strange place served to you by strange people. These things are happening. This isn't just your story, but you're playing parts in other people's stories. You are now in your roommate's story. You're now in your suite mate's story. You're now in the random person you met last night's story. If for but one scene or for a lifetime, we don't know yet. But more important than either of these, you're in God's story. God has not just ordained the end of time and the beginning of time, but he has ordained everything in between. And he knows you by name. And he knows more about you than you know yourself. And so as you enter into this new chapter, man, I challenge you. Think about where your story's heading. Where are your eyes as you enter into this new chapter? What are you looking at? What are you hopeful for? What is the desire of your heart? Is it Christ or is it ultimately an idol? Is your life drawing people in or pushing them out? Man, are you someone people can walk with and cry with and laugh with? Or man, are you just bitter? Are you just tough to be around? Do you reflect Christ or you reflect mankind? And lastly, who's walking next to you? Man, you've got a lot of invites. I'll give you one more. Man, I encourage you. BCM happens on Thursday nights. We got small groups afterwards. We do those not so we can say we have small groups, not so our leaders can have practice leading a small group, but it's so you can find this person or 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 of these people so you have someone to walk with. I pray that we can serve you in that way. Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you. I thank you for being with us and to pursue us even when we run from you. Lord, I thank you for loving us when we are unlovable. Lord, I thank you for those in this room. God, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I just got a lot of hope for this room. I pray that the folks in this room would grow up to be, man, really awesome moms and dads. That they would serve their church well. That they would be the best teachers in the school. That they would be awesome businessmen with high morals. That they would be awesome pastors or doctors or missionaries or whatever. But ultimately, God, I do believe that they're not just the church of tomorrow. They're not just the this of tomorrow or the that of tomorrow. But their story is happening right now. You're calling them to obedience right now. You're calling them to yourself right now. God, I pray we'd be sensitive to hear. I pray that our hearts would be tuned to you in a way that is beyond us, but is a fruit of the Holy Spirit. God, I thank you that despite ourselves, you love us. And despite us, you've called us to be part of your story. I pray that over the next days and weeks, months and years, that as stories come to bear, man,